You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to yet again another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Live every single Tuesday night right here on all your favorite social media websites. Taking over the world one stream at a time. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all the love. As you can already see to my left, we got a special guest with us. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And he's not our special guest. He's just always like that. That's his name. But yes, as I've already pointed out, who's this fine gentleman to my left?
Mr. Hop, Drop, and Roll.
Hop, Drop, and Roll.
Hi, Megan.
No-da.
No-da?
We have no-da.
Oh, duh.
No-da. We did this on the podcast last time.
That made me think of that
No-da.
song. Was that da-da-da? Da-da-da-da. Yeah, what song was that?
I have no idea.
It's like was it 90s? I can't remember.
Neil looks like he has no idea either.
Not a clue.
Before we even started streaming, we were all in the midst of taking Bon Jovi and Nickelback songs and turning them into country songs.
It started out as death metal, and then it switched.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah, that's true. It was. Yeah, it was like Vanessa Carlton. We turned her into death metal with 1,000 Miles. And,
Did we?
What was the other one that we were doing?
I have no idea.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't remember.
Like a bird thing.
That
Oh,
one.
yep.
It was that
song called.
Oh, Nelly Furtado.
Yeah, that
I'm
one.
like a bird.
Yeah.
Well, we could do that one in country. You could do like, I'm like a bird. that was more like rock.
That was pretty
soft
bad.
rock.
Bird. That was
Yeah,
that was
a little,
Pearl Jam.
Wanna fly away.
It was Eddie Vedder.
That was like Nickelback mixed with Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So Neil, thank you
Yeah.
for coming down from Boston just
Thanks
for
for
this
having
show.
me. Yep, just for the
Yes.
show.
We
Right.
appreciate
He's
it.
here just for
1,000
this
miles,
show.
one show.
Hey, you didn't quite travel 1,000, but we appreciate the miles you did travel for us.
Anytime.
And I would walk 5,000.
500. Is it
500.
500 miles?
It is.
Yeah.
And then
I
he
think
walked-
It does, yeah.
500 more.
I hate that song.
I
The
love
only
that
part of
song.
that song I like is the da 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 da.
Well, you got to make it country.
Da-da-da.
I would walk 500 miles. I can't do it. I can't.
Love that song.
Keep working on it.
I know. I'm not the.
Australian country.
We need Erin here. She would be able to sing it for us. Erin hadn't been on the show in forever.
Whose fault is that?
Shout out to the. Wait, I was gonna say Ralphster, but she's a Boyd. She's a Boyd now.
She's a
Yeah.
Boyd.
Yeah. But no, Neil, how you like that beer? Is it pretty good?
Yep, Neil. How do you like that beer?
It's good. It's not bad.
No, it's just.
I thought it would be super hoppy. It's fine.
Oh, okay, nice.
He likes it hoppy.
it's an IPA.
It's only 15% alcohol.
He is hop,
Yeah.
drop, and roll.
It makes him
so.
hoppy.
You got the Sam Adams tried and
doubt.
true over there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Going light.
Yep.
Samuel.
We do have some sad news. It was part of headlines, but I just thought we'd throw it in at the beginning.
Yeah, no,
because we
I'm
actually delayed mentioning our remorse for having lost Paul Rubens last week.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring up that another fine actor, Mark Margolis, passed away this past week at 80. Was it 80 or 83? I can't.
83.
83.
83. Yeah.
And so obviously, in most recent history, I would say claim to fame was Breaking Bad.
Oh, he's been in all kinds.
But
of
he's
stuff.
been in
yeah, he
tons of stuff.
Yes, I mean, it's this is amazing when like he's one of those actors that like I feel like never have had like a lot of like huge roles, but he's always had like noticeable roles, and when you see him, you're like, oh, that's that one dude.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah, he's never had a lead role.
yeah,
that I've ever seen.
Yeah, he
Great
was in,
character
he was in
actor.
Ace
Yeah.
Ventura. I thought.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
Scarface. He has a role in too. So I mean, he's just one of those actors that he's really good at playing like those smaller parts, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, Breaking Bad, I think is probably
That's the
his
Breaking
biggest
Bad.
significant
He's
one.
the wheelchair guy.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yep.
I don't know.
And I mean, just Vince Gilligan, genius writer and creator. That show is just amazing. But and he gives a stellar performance in that.
Does.
But no, we've got a great show planned. We got some
do.
good headlines to get into. The strike is ongoing. No deal was made Friday. We're going to talk about Barbie hitting $1 billion at the box office. kind of a surprise, but also no surprise. I think after last week's continued success, we knew it was trending in that trajectory, so it's finally hit it. But the not so big movie on the block, it landed at number 4 in the box office this week, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Which was a little surprise. I mean, it didn't do bad. Like, it made money. Like, they're happy with its gross. It's just knowing that, like, the IP, like, landed at number 4. But, I mean, the movies it was up against were also all bigger movies, too. So
yeah, no doubt. And, I mean, it's funny because it is a family-oriented hit.
And see, I thought that would also give it a little bit more of a boost because it's PG, and normally, you know, family movies do better. But
I mean, the fact that it was beaten out by 2 rated R, because is the Meg PG-13 or R? I think it's R.
I think it's PG-13.
I think it's PG-13.
Is it? Okay, okay.
Yeah. The first one was. I don't know.
Oh, it was then, most assuredly it is. Yeah. But then, I mean, Barbie still on top, and I was just kind of surprised that families weren't taking their kids to go see Ninja Turtles.
They're taking them to see Barbie.
They are.
That's true. Yeah.
Definitely not taking them to see Haunted Mansion.
No. that one's still a Disney failure.
That's okay. They deserve it.
But we did end up reviewing. Do we have that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Of course we have it.
Well,
Wilson's in that.
That's one of the only 2 that I know you play.
That's because you forgot WoW, so I had to use it.
There we go. All right. I'm a failure.
It's working! It's working!
Of course. Alrighty, guys. We got our review of, we went and saw Mutant Mayhem. Or they sent us a screener.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Every now and then
I was
random
in the theater.
people would pop up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 I
Did
felt
you
like-
see it in theater? Are you just talking about the
Yeah.
part you
No.
saw?
I was in. I felt
I
like
just
I was
know
in the
there was-
theater
I
with
felt
them.
I was
I
in the
definitely was
theater.
in the theater
I saw
because I
people-
remember a lady like getting up in the middle of it.
Yeah, right at the bebeginning. Somebody I'm like,
I
dude,
got
sit
there.
down. The movie's just starting.
I got there really late too because I missed the first part.
Like the first couple, the first minute or two is cut off. Like
I was getting popcorn.
Got a little late, and
Last
then
minute snack.
Yep. Had to get my Twizzlers, man. I just, my snow caps.
Yeah, but hey, it was nice.
Yep.
For what it was, I
Yeah.
guess. We'll have a review.
Yeah, here's our review.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and just toss to that. Let's get into the review of. Here it is: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. The following is a review by Keith Cheatham. From self-proclaimed permanent teenager Seth Rogen and Jeff Rowe, co-director of The Mitchells vs. the Machines, comes the latest adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And while it may not have dethroned Barbie at the box office, it has received plenty of praise from critics and audiences alike. Based on the characters created by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem is yet another reboot of the franchise. Under the creative wing of Seth Rogen, a longtime fan of the property, the film is full of his distinctly juvenile and sometimes crass sense of humor, leaning heavily into the teenage part of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. While most iterations depict the Turtles in their late teen years, with the characters looking and sounding more like adults than teens, Rogen and Rowe instead have chosen to make the Turtles younger and high school aged. Voiced by actual teenagers, the movie is a stereotypical fish-out-of-water story, with the Turtles learning to find a place in the world they can be accepted, while taking down villainous forces. Keeping with this theme, April O'Neil has been aged down. No longer a local news reporter, April is now a high school journalist who dreams of becoming a big-time reporter. When TCRI head scientist Cynthia Utrum sends a strike force after rogue scientist Baxter Stockham, who has created a mutagenic ooze and an array of mutants. Stockham's creations escape and a vial of ooze is dropped into the sewers. Most viewers can guess what happens from there, and the movie jumps forward several years to our now Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Blending humor and action, Mutant Mayhem is a visually fun film, with similar animation and art styles to Mitchells vs. the Machines and the Spider-Verse films from Sony. Mutant Mayhem has plenty to keep the kids entertained, and makes casual parents going for a nostalgia trip chuckle. While I was not initially fond of the Turtles having such noticeably younger voices, each actor did well, and it fit the overall themes of the story. Ice Cube specifically as villain Superfly was hilarious. Even while being a fairly well-made film, Mutant Mayhem never fully pulled me in. The fish-out-of-water tropes have been done better, even in other Ninja Turtle films. Rogen, who himself has stated his career has been made out of outcast teen films, has nothing new to offer with these themes and stories. The film just seemed to lack the heart and substance I felt it needed to make an endearing and heartwarming version of the characters. Instead, Splinter, who in past versions was much more rational about why the turtles must remain in the shadows, full-on hates humanity and is treated often as a joke. Even when the turtles come to their moment of learning to respect Splinter, it never seems justified, and he's never made to seem wise. Past iterations of the franchise have ranged from mature and adult material to all-out Saturday morning children's cartoon. Mutant Mayhem lands at PG, but is a strong PG, towing the line heavily. The film didn't have enough depth or substance to keep me as an adult fully satisfied. However, it included enough innuendo that it felt a bit mature for younger children. It's humorous and not blatantly preachy or attempting to browbeat woke messaging, but it also doesn't offer anything edifying or new to the franchise. Sure, it's a fair bit better than Michael Bay's produced monstrosity, and I'm sure it will be a hit with the kids. Perhaps I'm just tired of the cookie-cutter, infinitely rehashed franchises. I give Mutant Mayhem 2.5 out of 4 stars.
There we are. So 2.5 out of 4 stars. 4. I do like the music. I will say that was Atticus Ross and
Yes.
Trent Reznor. They did it. They have a very unique sound.
And it's
Honestly,
really good.
since Social Network, yeah.
It
But
is
no,
very well done.
I would agree. 2.5 out of 4 stars.
I don't hate it. I don't know. And one, I mean, Ninja Turtles is a bigger property for me, nostalgia-wise. Like, I mean, I watched all the movies, the cartoons growing up. I love Ninja Turtles. Hated what the Michael Bay produced ones. And maybe part of this is because Disney has ruined so many IPs I love, but it's not that this is bad per se. I just want something more, like, especially since I have, like, from the original comics, the original movies, like, seen the story done better. For kids, this is gonna be great. They already have a Paramount Plus series planned and a sequel greenlit. I think this old franchise will take off the way that they wanted to when they brought Seth Rogen in to do it. I feel like the class slapstick, like, that's all Seth Rogen does is like, oh, I'm a eternal teenager and I know, and it's like, yeah, that's funny if you're getting stoned with friends and just gonna watch it, but I just wanted more, like, Splinter being, like, they make Splinter a joke, even like when they get around to, like, oh, maybe we should respect him. I don't feel like they ever really give him his due of being right. I mean, the whole, like, I always felt in all the other versions, his reasons for them staying away from humans make sense because obviously they're weird, they look different, they stand out. But in this, like, his just hatred for humans, I thought I get because he was a rat and, you know, humans hate rats, so therefore he learned. Mm-hmm. But I just thought, like, some of it was a little more extreme than it needed to be on that end. I was just like,
that's how
he's supposed to be this wise master who's guiding them to help save people. Why does he care about saving people if he hates them this much?
Right, and I didn't feel like it had reached that crescendo or that turning point when he gets to it in the film.
Yeah.
I didn't think it had done enough to sell me on him learning that lesson and actually wanting to pursue that, protector of humanity.
Give praise, I wasn't fond of the casting when they first announced the younger, like, actors.
They were fine.
But they were fine. Like, I mean, the only one I still have some problems with is just Donatello sounds so young, but him being the nerdy turtle, it fits. So I was just like, I'm okay with that.
And then kind of piggybacking off the Splinter thing, because I do agree. One, I didn't grow up on this franchise. Mm-hmm. So I approached it a little bit more, I think, not only blindly, but just kind of like, oh yeah, I was going along, enjoying the ride. But I'd seen some stuff released beforehand, and I do remember from the younger, from my younger childhood.
About it,
and I've seen designs of April O'Neil, and of course that one was the big change that they made for this film. And I have to say, it was like her character in this wasn't bad, but it was deliberately done. I wouldn't have cared too much because, again, like I said, I didn't grow up with the series. I wouldn't have cared so much about the change until they deliberately make her kind of a short, stout, change her race, and then yet they have one of the turtles who's just smitten with her and, like, drawn to her and attracted to her. And I'm just like, okay, you went out of your way to make her turn her into, like, a pretty voluptuous redhead into this short, stout, kind of nerdy teenage girl. It doesn't fit and completely looks totally different and ugly compared to the original design. Mm-hmm. And then yet you go out of your way to make it a point to be like, well, look, he thinks she's attractive and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And I thought that was a little bit pointed. I just thought that was like, no, you did this deliberately to make that point and then underline it with him being attracted to her.
Yeah, outside of deliberately changing, like, obviously, like, changing her race and things like that, I didn't feel like the movie had, like, I will say that, I mentioned in the review, like, I expected the movie to be a lot more woke, especially with Seth Rogen doing it. I just thought, oh, they're gonna cram especially after changing April O'Neil's race. I was just like, oh, they're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff in this to, like, they have with other past movies, and I didn't feel like it had a lot of that in there. So I was just like,
No.
I did appreciate that you kept it PG for the most part. I mean, there's some stuff that I do feel like some of the humor can be a bit crass, and there is some language, so it is, I think, kind of a strong PG, but I mean,
thought
it's
it
mostly
fit within
PG.
the realms of things that I feel like I grew up with.
Well,
PG
Ninja
wise.
Turtles has always had, like, they've had, like, the original comics were very dark and adult. The first movie is more adult. Of course, then the late 80s, 90s series is Saturday morning straight for kids, nothing but. So it's always had a balance of that, where I think that you've had, like, a child aimed and then more adult themed, and I wanted to see them strike that balance where it could be for both sides, and I think the movie mostly did that. I do think it's more, like, obviously for kids, which it's supposed to be, but I was like, okay, this is around the realm of what I expect from the Turtles. Yeah.
Sean, what about you?
I was at 3.
Okay.
I really liked it. I wasn't happy that it was just another origin story, because we've seen the Ninja Turtles origin story, but as I was watching it and kind of when it started out with the ooze and going through this whole thing all over again, I remembered that, well, the Ninja Turtles were 20-something years ago for me. The last even attempt at a Ninja Turtles movies was in 2014 with Michael Bay's.
No, they have had cartoon series on Nickelodeon all the way up till now, though.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, for my kids, they don't know the story of the Ninja Turtles, so it makes sense to go ahead and reintroduce that to people now. So I kind of let go of the fact that they were going with another origin story, even though it was kind of short lived in the movie. They get right into their story, but I did really like the fact that they started them off a lot younger than they have been in past tellings of the Ninja Turtles.
Agreed.
So I didn't I didn't mind their age, and I really didn't even mind that they took April O'Neil and made her of the same age, a high school student. Like that didn't bother me at all either. The love interest didn't bother me, because in the original live action movie, Raphael is smitten
Well, they've
by
all
April
had
O'Neil.
different iterations. Yeah.
So
And just to reiterate, I liked that. I didn't mind the romance. I just thought for them to go out of their way to have changed her look, and then he's smitten with her, and I'm just like, and here's the thing. You could eventually have them age and grow up, and she's a much more, like, voluptuous Janelle Monáe, like, character is the first thing I thought of. But, you know, I just... It was very odd to me that they changed her look deliberately and totally opposite of who she was in the comics or even in the show.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but then to also go out of their way to be like, oh, yeah, but he really has a crush on her. And I was like, okay, well...
I just didn't. I didn't mind it
And
that
that's fine.
much,
I
just
didn't
simply
mind that
because
they
of the
de-aged
fact
her.
I'm like, they're turtles. They can't get with anybody. So it's like the fact that he's the first human that he has an interaction with becomes someone that he's a crush with. I thought that fit your natural reaction as a teenage boy or a teenage turtle. But as far as the Splinter thing goes,
Turtle
like,
D.
yeah,
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
Yes.
Go Ninja, go Ninja.
that would have been amazing if they would have had
I honestly,
some kind of a flashback to that. But
Well,
I was going to finish just by saying
Yeah.
the idea of Splinter was, and I agree with you, Brandon, that it was a much more disappointing, I guess, iteration of Splinter, and the fact that he was not the wise soul or like master that he is to them in some of the other tellings of Ninja Turtles. I think that with them starting everybody off younger and everybody off new in this, the Turtles for the first time actually fighting crime, and the city knows who they are. They know they're out there. I feel like they've left room for all of them to grow, including Splinter, to become the leader that they see him as in the other. But it was, I thought Jackie Chan nailed it out of the park.
Yeah, I thought he
loved
he was okay.
him
He
as
was
Splinter.
I think all the voice
But,
actors were
yeah,
fine.
no, I thought that was well done. But I like the idea of these teenagers having a father figure that they see as just that, and this kind of did not nail that for me. He was too much of their friend and babysitter,
Yeah.
and less of their father / master. When it
Yeah.
comes to ninjas, he's supposed to be the master, and they're
Right.
supposed to. I mean, it's supposed to be like the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi,
Right.
And
Yes.
that didn't land in this movie for
I
me.
will agree with you on that. Is one thing I did like as much as I didn't like initially, like the younger, like teenage years as opposed to later. I actually liked how they set it up. I did like how they're growing, and that's the one thing that I did like is that while I didn't feel like this, like, because I don't hate this movie, I just feel like it was just nothing but a setup, and that disappointed me. But I do like the way it is set up, and I agree with you with the way that now they have this room to grow. You have the end that teases Shredder because he's not the villain in this one, and I actually really like that because there are other villains for the Turtles other than Shredder.
yeah.
And I like the fact that they said, okay, we'll tease him for the next one because of course he's iconic. He has to be a villain at some point, but let's not use him in the first film. Let's go with some of these other characters.
And by far the highlight of the film was Superfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ice Cube was hilarious.
And this is what, because that was another, which is a nitpicky thing, it doesn't matter, but Baxter Stockman, the scientist who creates the mutagen that creates the mutants, whatever, he turns himself into a fly.
Yeah.
And I thought that's where they were going to go with that, and then they were going to reveal he didn't die or something, but then you see the beginning that he had the little fly, and I was like, oh no, they're doing two separate things, and they didn't go that route, which is fine, but I did think that was interesting that they didn't turn him
the
into
other
the
villains in the movie are obviously most of them are villains that were from the original
Yeah, they all
cartoon
exist from the
series.
original series.
It's just I did not understand where the room for them in the future is when they become
Good guys?
at the end.
Yeah.
So that was another kind of nitpicky thing. I don't mind the way
will
they
say,
did it, but
and I'm just venturing off into like maybe they could go this route because that was another sticking point for me was how, again, I didn't mind the pacing of the movie, and I thought for a children / family film it was a good amount of time. They didn't spend too much time on one section, but like they were a little bit too easy to convince to
I agree.
change
Yeah.
from Superfly's team of baddies over to helping the Turtles. And I thought it was interesting that I'm like, okay, I know you're going with Ice Cube being the big villain here, but if they're all by his side and they kind of make it seem like, yeah, he in a nice way coerced them into this maniacal plan, kind of genocidal. I'm like, I didn't mind that being his underpinning crux of being a villain. But then if he's got them going along and all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, you're just a big bad guy, we're going to help these guys out.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit too bait and switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, maybe you could use that as okay, they're just so easily
Flip-flop.
manipulated
Yeah.
and flip-flop.
And
they
I think
could
that
go
could come
somewhere
into
else
play
and-
because when
yeah.
you have characters like, okay, they have like Bebop and Rocksteady, characters like that are supposed to be kind of stupid characters anyways.
Goofy,
I could see
comedic relief.
I could see Shredder coming along and convincing
and
them-
Rogan, he voices Bebop.
Yeah, he did. I could see like in the future if they wanted to team them up with Shredder like the original series, they could. I think they'd be ignorant enough to like he could convince them to do whatever.
And I think I read this is the first of 2 films they plan on releasing, and then they're also doing 2
a 2-season
yeah,
series.
yeah, that's what
series.
I mentioned.
Oh,
that they're
yeah.
doing,
In between the movies,
Paramount
yeah.
Plus has like 2-season series that'll supposed to take place in between 1 and 2, and then they're releasing the second one. They greenlit both of those before the movie even came out. How much confidence they had in it. And I mean, it looks like it's going to profit, even though it came in 4th. It's still doing well.
And I would agree. I think it's a little milquetoast in terms of the themes that it offers. It's not so heavy.
That was my
they
only
were
problems
fine,
with
but
it.
for them to have touched on a series that needs to be, I guess, resurrected because you're looking at franchises. You like to see them come back to a franchise, but offer something a little bit more meaty.
Yeah.
that makes it worth telling. The
It
story.
might be my own bias, but I wanted to see. Like, this is not a bad movie, but I wanted to see another iconic Turtle movie, and I don't feel like this is iconic. Like, I think maybe over time with the series and the sequel, if it continues to do well and they grow, it could become something iconic, but I think this one by itself, like, doesn't really stand the test of time without them doing better down the line.
Well, and as you compared it to in the review, and I think a lot of people who saw the trailers, it's akin to something like Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And after Into the Spider-Verse released 3 years ago, we just got the sequel this year. Was it 3 or 4 years ago?
I think, 2019, I think.
But if even then, I'm like, when that came out, that was an interesting new look at Spider-Man. And also, I think it brought forth Spider-Man's kind of been popular since the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi.
Oh, yeah.
Since it launched. But
it
even
helped
still,
boost the Miles Morales character. Yeah.
Miles Morales, and it also helped boost, I think, us getting kind of fatigued with the Marvel aspect of the live action Spider-Man. And so to see this take that leap, it's not a bad direction, but we've been there, done that. You got to mix it up enough to where.
I mean, it's absolutely better than the two turds Michael Bay produced.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll give it that.
But
Like,
going back to what you said about it, iconic,
Yeah.
there is something about just like the Mario Brothers movie is terrible, but there's something about John Leguizamo and that movie that it's just like the Mario Brothers movie is just terrible.
it's so much fun to watch
Right.
because it's so bad. Yeah,
and it's from that time.
Yeah.
So
Secret of the Ooze was
amazing.
was just like that.
Yes.
It was
the
so
first
bad to watch.
live
sometimes.
action turtle movie is actually legit good. Secret of the Ooze is amazing to watch,
And,
but it's
Turtles
not.
in Time, or what was the third
Okay,
one?
that one doesn't need to be taught. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was Turtles in Time was the third one, and they just went down. The
Yeah.
first one was great. The second
Yeah.
one was so bad it was good, and then Turtles in Time was just.
I remember the first one.
Oh,
All this,
yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
seen this one, but
Yeah.
like this makes me want to see it and go
Secret
back and
of
watch
the
the
Ooze,
first
though.
one.
That's
Neil-
the one me and Sean always quote. With
And the first
babies saying,
first
"They're
movie
babies."
is dark.
It
Like
is.
I mean, it surprised me watching that again just a few months ago. How dark that was for when I was a kid. Like there's some
That's why I
really
said, even
creepy
though-
elements in that movie.
even
The
though it's
original comic
PG,
book was very dark.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I didn't think even the I thought the humor was on par with teenage humor. I mean the vomiting,
Yeah,
her
yeah.
vomiting,
Oh,
like,
that
was
killed me,
hilarious.
dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
That
lost
was
it.
great.
Oh, there are some hilarious moments. I agree.
Yeah.
But I will say, I'm like, there were a lot of things I remember watching as a kid that went into darker realms, and I yearn to see that because I just feel like
Actually,
we've,
yeah.
we've softened the blow a little too much. And I agree, it doesn't. Not that you have to venture into crassness, but in terms of dark themes. Like I thought they were going to kind of go there, not with the Splinter origin story and him finding the turtles. Of course, you have the cute little turtle babies that they have to display. But I thought somehow they were going to go into some backstory with Splinter having a very bleak past and
He
this
does
giving
in the
him
original
meaning.
Yeah,
stories.
that's-
And,
yeah.
and I was really hoping that they would touch on that to
Yeah.
bring a little levity to how him losing the turtles to the human world, or in
Yeah.
general how protective he is over them. I thought that was going to come up, and it just other than glances of the turtles looking fondly over a bunch of teenagers watching a movie, and it was good, it was heartwarming, but it was just, we've been there, we've seen this.
I did like that they used actual live action movies for all the stuff they watched
That was-
in the
yeah, that
theater
was
and on
good,
TV. I thought that was cool. I mean, there are very unique, well done things in this.
Yeah.
One
the
thing
action
that,
scenes I thought were done
mentioning
really
the darker
well,
stuff, one thing that
creative.
always stood out to me from the original live action, like I always remember this scene, and that's the scene when Raph loses his sai and he's standing in the dark and he just goes damn, and I'm just like even as a kid that stood out because I was like, he just said damn.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just one of those things where like, yeah, I'd like a little, like, I mean, I still want it accessible to kids because it's Ninja Turtles, but I would like some of the mature adult themes to kind of come back just because I think it gives it a little bit more depth and levity. Not that I want it to be so dark that kids can't watch it because
Now,
Well,
Neil,
in the original live action, there is the stuff for kids, but then there's things that when I was a kid, I didn't get why Casey Jones was smitten with April O'Neil.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the part when Raphael comes out of the movie theater from watching Critters.
Yeah.
And he's like, where do they come up with this stuff? Like, I think that's hilarious now, but when I was a kid, I didn't know what he was talking about because I hadn't seen Critters.
Yeah.
But it was just like they made it for both, for young and old, and I really appreciate that. I don't feel like this movie was as humorous for adults, even though there were things that I laughed at. I imagined myself sitting there with my kids seeing this when I finally let them see it, and us laughing together. It wasn't like it was something that only I was going to get.
it
Like,
felt safe.
Yeah,
It just
It
felt
was
like
safe.
as crass as some of it got, and I agree. Like some of the humor could have.
I don't think
been
it was
a little
too
strong.
like over,
No,
but yeah, it
not at
was.
all.
It's
But it was a safe film
Yeah.
in terms of how it was carried out and the plot structure, and like you just don't get to a point of. I mean, there's movies that I think of when Pixar was in its heyday, and it's like themes that it touches on that are just. You're sitting there. It's like when you're seeing toys about to be incinerated in Toy Story 3, and you're weeping. It's like,
I was
why the
thinking
hell?
The first 10 minutes of Up.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
God.
Yes.
absolutely.
And I would like that amount of seriousness in the turtle movie. And people are like, well, they're Ninja Turtles. It's like, but it's been done before.
Right.
The original live action movie, the original comics. It's like if the source material has it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Now, Neil, what about you? As far as like, are you a fan of Ninja Turtles? Were you when you grew up?
I mean, I I only saw the first live action movie, but I feel like I watched.
You
that
need to watch the second
like 20 times or something.
at this
Oh,
point.
the live action.
I feel like I watched it a lot because I can picture like a lot of the stuff that you all are talking about, and it's making me want to watch it because I haven't seen it in 15 years.
I don't remember what streaming service they're on, but they are on one.
Oh,
maybe
they are?
Paramount, since they own it. They might.
They
be
probably.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say Paramount Plus.
But I thought they were on a wider, like one that more people have than just Paramount Plus.
But I am
that
like
up.
in general, I am a fan of this like animated movement
Style.
because
Yeah.
like
it's
the first
gorgeous,
Spider-Man
yeah.
like blew me away. This last one like I loved immensely.
Yes,
wow.
yeah.
And so like even seeing just like the trailer for this, like I knew I wanted to see it. I just didn't get to see it in time.
it's
But
worth seeing.
But it is like it's a great way to just mix it up from all this live action stuff that we're seeing. It's like just the art style and the design that goes behind it. It's really
That's
really
what I
cool.
love because honestly, I'm just getting tired of the same 3D computer animated. It's like Pixar came and did it first, and that's fine. Like that was their claim to fame. But then it's like we moved away from 2D because computer animation was faster and easier, and now like everybody, Illumination, DreamWorks, they all have like,
It's
and
what
even
sells.
though their styles are unique to each company, like they don't all look exactly the same. I just want I want to see animated films with more uniqueness again,
Well,
and having Spider-Verse. And
It's
this
interesting
is
because
nice.
you think of things like, I mean, you either only saw it during Oscar season when they would have the short animated films of different art styles, or something like Miyazaki with his films.
That's one reason why
But
I love
again,
anime so
and-
much.
and I was gonna
because the art style is amazing.
and that's even a unique type of art style that not. I don't want to.
Yeah, because each anime
Yeah.
has its own as well. But
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
But it's
it's
still
still anime, and
Yeah.
it still has a distinct style and feel. But I really do think with the turn of like Spider-Verse and taking it into a mass appeal level or a mass audience, level of, okay, we're going to try this different art style
Yeah.
with this, type of broader appeal. And I think it has sold well, and I think they are picking up, taking a number out of their book and saying, all right, let's kind of mix it up and give somebody, let's make that aspect of doing, if it's not hand drawn anymore or it's not CGI. I mean, you can turn on Netflix and go to the kids section, and it's all like Pixar-esque.
Yeah.
But it's funny you
crap.
say that because Jeff Rowe, the director of this, he helped make The Mitchells versus the Machines, which was nominated
that
for
too.
Best Picture, and it is a Netflix original, and it actually has a more distinctive art style than most of the stuff on there because it is more similar to, not exactly, it's kind of a blend between, I
It
would say,
is.
Pixar-esque and then something like this, and I mean, I've seen that. There's some themes I would say is iffy, but it is a very well-made movie. So
Agreed. Yeah.
when I heard that he had done this, I was like, okay.
Let's see, with Spider-Verse introducing that animation style that looks kind of like a comic coming to life off the page.
Yeah.
I felt like when I saw the trailer for this movie, I'm like, oh, well, now Ninja Turtles, now they're doing the same thing with that. Are we going to start seeing a bunch of animated movies that look like the comic book?
Probably.
Like, copying off what Sony did with Spider-Verse is what I'm
I
worried
think,
about.
I agree, and obviously this falls right behind Across the Spider-Verse and
Yeah.
being the third movie in that kind of vein. That
Yeah.
it's not going to be lumped in as just a copycat, and it's unique enough. There's enough stylized, artistic nature, creative
Yeah.
license given to where I think you don't just fully. It doesn't look like a carbon copy.
No, no.
They definitely use different color palettes and different natures.
Well, they
and how
don't do like the dots. I forget,
they
there's a
don't do
name for
the-
that. I forget
yeah,
what it is. But
looks like the
comic book
texture of the
dots,
paper. Yeah.
Right. And so I thought that was one good takeaway, but it is nice to see at least us moving in a direction of experimenting with art styles so that it's not just either, oh, here's hand drawn, here's CGI, and it's like, okay, we now can kind of venture out into, again, making animation a totally different aspect in which you see a different approach to, something like adding in anime elements or the comic book elements, and I don't know, experimenting. It's nice. I do appreciate it, and it looks like it makes it much more interesting than the tried and true of what we've already seen. But yeah, 2.5 out of 4 stars.
I do want to say that because I did think this is funny that Seth Rogen is. I think I like him more as a voice actor than an actual actor because both this and Donkey Kong. But it's funny because I'm like, but both of those characters are like either ignorant or arrogant because Donkey Kong is very arrogant, and I was like, well, maybe that's why I like it because he's just himself, ignorant and arrogant. So
And
It's
it's
funny
like
that he plays a warthog in this movie and he
And
plays a
in
warthog in Lion King.
He's a good pig. He's a good pig.
he is.
He's a good pig.
I was gonna say he definitely is. one, I guess I just don't like his look, but even when he changes his voice ever so slightly, we don't get that stupid laugh.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'm already miles away. I like his
He
performance.
does do the laugh with Donkey Kong though, but it
Yeah.
worked. It worked for the character.
Yeah, and it's not as traditional.
It's
yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's move into our headlines for the week. That's right. The big one on the block, still going, steamrolling everything. Another huge monumental week, pushing it past the $1 billion mark is Barbie.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yep. Greta Gerwig, the first solo directing woman to pass the $1 billion mark.
Good for her. Honestly, I mean, I like Gerwig for the most part.
I think we
so-
should all stand. I think we should all stand and applaud this monumental. Just,
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna stand.
Nah.
Stupid.
Sorry,
I mean, come on.
it's not
come
that
on.
big of a deal.
Everybody seems to make it into one, I guess. Hey, look. Here's the thing. I like Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
I've stated it. I love Lady Bird. We reviewed Little Women. I haven't seen it.
I
but
love
I know
Little
you love.
Women.
I know you
That's
love.
that's my favorite of hers so far.
hairy women. That's the first thing I think of whenever I say it. But no, I am a fan of Greta Gerwig. I will say, for someone who I think is talented and I think can tell a story, I think it's a jumbled mess, and I think the IP helped push it across that line. But there's no doubt it's a successful movie.
I mean, it's a hit.
huge.
People like it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't still be going to see it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I know y'all.
Oh
didn't,
wow!
but I
All
loved
right,
it.
all right. Let's no,
Yeah,
Neil.
yeah.
Please divulge. I mean, we've already had our review, but
No, I mean, I got a huge kick out of it. Like, I just thought it was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
Like, politics aside, it's like the big speech.
yeah,
That my only problem with that was like it just takes you out of it being a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, because up to then I was
Yeah.
just like enjoying it. Like, I get that there's a message in everything, and then I was like, okay, like I get it. And then I feel like from there, like the themes got kind of mixed up, where it was like, what is a woman, what is a man, and then it's like, what is being human, and there's like kind of a lot going on at the end there. But like the journey, I just thought it was hilarious.
I will say,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole from traveling from Barbie Land into the real world and the takes that Ryan Gosling and even Margot Robbie as Ken and Barbie, you know, I thought it was they were funny in terms of their performances are what drove it for me to keep watching and stay
Yeah, yeah.
engaged. I think
Production design was amazing.
Oh yeah,
too,
production design was awesome,
Yeah.
but just the muddiness of which we ain't got to go back into Barbie.
I will say
we've,
this.
we've divulged that
that
last week.
series of tweets you sent us from Michael Knowles made me appreciate the movie a little bit more, because I was like reading his perspective on some stuff. I was like, I agree with some of what he's saying here.
I do
Yeah.
too. I think it's funny because I don't know if he's doing it intentionally to troll Shapiro,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
of
yeah.
course everybody was knocking him.
well,
for
I mean, I don't
roasting
know if
it.
he liked it or not. I do know Brett Cooper did, and she still defends it. So
right. Well,
but she does acknowledge some of the woke aspects as well.
And again, to me, it was like, yeah, that's the only underlying thing I couldn't escape was, regardless of what you walk away with, whatever spin you put on it, it's clear if you follow the plot points in the way they're carried out in the film, what the messages they're trying to convey. And I'm grateful if people go and watch it and enjoy it and kind of just ignore it or walk out and think nothing of.
Or some people,
the
like I said, there's
messages.
been plenty of people who take it the opposite way and say, no, it would. Which, I mean, I get your point.
Oh,
and
that
I
was-
agree,
that was
but-
Knowles. It
But
was
there are
like,
plenty
oh,
of people
Ken's a
who are like,
cuck,
no, they're
and, you know,
actually
he's-
making fun of these things, not purporting them.
Right,
But
and
yeah.
I agree more with Shapiro's reasoning of, but if you look at who's really praising the film and ultimately even the kind of
the people who made it are
Right.
saying, "Oh, it just takes down men like crazy." So I
Right.
mean, when the people who made it say it's a scathing review of men, then you know
And
where
again,
it
And
I
that's,
think-
but I have to say, like, I don't follow the
Yeah.
people that made it. Like, I think I listened to a podcast with Greta Gerwig,
yeah.
and she,
No, she does. She has not. I
Yeah,
will
there's
say this:
nothing
the
in it.
director herself has not. I'll give
Yeah.
her that. Just the producers and other people who have acted in the film have said it. So
yeah, and that's like, I just,
Kate McKinnon.
I didn't know anything about the movie. Like, I literally, I think I went away one weekend, and Megan was like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" I was like, "You want to go see Barbie?" Like, I kind of just making a dumb joke.
And she
and
was
then
like,
we
"Yeah."
watched. Well, no, then we watched the trailer because I hadn't seen the trailer,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, actually just wait for me because I kind of want to see this now because I just hadn't even seen the trailer.
The trailer
yet.
did. It made it look hilarious.
And then we saw it and like just being unplugged from all of that. Like there's a lot of stuff in it. Like I get why it's a big topic of conversation, but I think like if you're able to unplug from it and just take it for what it is, like that's like I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna see it, multiple times or anything, but you know when it comes out and it's streaming and we've got a quiet night on a Saturday or something, like why not?
And it's weird because I think that's kind of the bigger takeaway. I mean, obviously, regardless of the political nature that was surrounding the film, it clearly did its job not only in marketing but also in the appeal of getting butts in seats and more people saying, well, regardless if you love it or hate it, I got to go check it out for myself.
It's outgrossed every Marvel movie this year, which is huge.
Well, because it's something different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Well, just real quick on that point, that's what I think is funny. I would agree it is something different in terms of a certain aesthetic and appeal, but that was also another reason I was let down by it, is in so many ways it's also generically the same as what we've gotten with like a texture on top of kind of passing as something more groundbreaking than I think it really is. But again, time will tell. I mean, again, I think that's why when you get away with good marketing, good production value, and cheeky humor, I mean, you can pass a lot of stuff that's mediocre under the.
You also said Oppenheimer wasn't really anything new from Nolan, but Ben Shapiro made it sound like the greatest movie ever made.
I agree. And it is funny because I would completely agree. It's like I still am on the fence about that movie in terms of I'm looking forward to watching it again, but as far as and it's doing stellar too.
Yeah. I really liked it. Yeah.
Well, but both of these movies both had something very distinct about them that people could like really just get behind. Like,
True.
I'm gonna dress up in pink or whatever and go see this movie. Like the theater that we went to was like a small local theater. Tickets were $8. Like they had one preview beforehand, which was amazing. But like even there, they had like pink streamers up, and there was a line out the door. People dressed up for it.
I went and saw it in theaters and was full in a room like this one dude sitting in like the front row with all the sea of pink behind me.
Yeah. Well, and then but like with Oppenheimer, it's got the whole like 70 millimeter versus IMAX. Like, oh, this is a serious movie. Like, I'm gonna like that's like a distinct concept that doesn't come out every month.
Yes, true.
Just like it's okay. It's another Marvel movie. Like that was really exciting back when Avengers came out, and it was like the culmination of all this work.
And I think too with the IP of what Barbie is, and for it to be Mattel's kind of splash into this major world of
there's never
wanting
really
to explore those properties.
Barbie movie.
Exactly.
There's
I was
been
just
some
saying
made for like some straight to DVD kitty.
Well,
crap.
we've seen her in Toy Story, and and her and Ken. I like that depiction of Barbie and Ken.
Better.
But I mean, it's interesting because a live action Barbie, you're very intrigued by like how are they going to spin this? How is this going to work? And of course, the clever nature of making it Barbie Land, and them going into the real world was I think a very obvious choice when you look at it from just a, how do you make this thing work on film? Mm-hmm. But again, that the devil's in the details and how that's played out. And of course, you heard our review, where we stand, but obviously people got to check it out for themselves. And that's a testament to how much it's continuing to steamroll the competition.
84% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I think the casual moviegoer is seeing the movie and saying, "Hey, that was a good laugh," and
it's got
they're not digging deep into the morals or the messages. They're just going and having a good time and laughing, and that's why it's doing so good.
See, the exit polls on it has been very good. Ninja Turtles has really good exit polls, and I think it has a 90-something from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. So,
well, they're actually that's part of what they're hoping is going to kind of help that movie withstand, coming in at 4
is the fact that it is having such good exit polls that they think people will.
They're going to get word of mouth. It's a family kind of oriented film.
I mean, it's honestly been, and this is what Hollywood wants, especially like going into a strike where they don't know if they're even going to have movies to release in the future. But it's been a good summer for Hollywood. You have Oppenheimer, you have Barbie, Ninja Turtles has not done bad. The Meg, while I think I've read that the critics weren't exactly fond of it, it has a huge audience score and exit polls. Audiences are loving it. It came in second, I believe, at the box office. So yeah, I think it's just one of those things where Hollywood has blamed so much stuff for people not going to the movies, whether it be COVID, whether it be whatever, that this summer has proven, no, people will go to the theater if you offer them unique movies they want to see. They're tired of Marvel. They're tired of all this garbage, but you give them Barbie, which is different, Oppenheimer, which is from Nolan, The Meg, which is a sequel to a movie people love.
And I think The Meg, the first movie, I think is
Caught people
someday.
off guard.
Well, it caught people off guard, but I think someday that movie is going to be a cult classic.
Oh, yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's
Well,
going to be one of those
actually,
movies
sure.
that people
It
come
was
back
very
to.
odd because the article that I have linked down in the description, it was talking about how they were a little worried because they were happy with where this one opened up in the box office. Of course, having juggernauts with Barbie and Oppenheimer
Yeah.
out there, but it was a little less than their expectations because it was lower than what the original
one,
opened
yeah.
up. And they were like, yeah, we just think this is maybe, we're hoping it's going to pick up steam and this isn't going to hurt the franchise too bad. And I'm like, this is just number 2, and
Oh, no,
I know
Yeah.
franchises are the thing nowadays, but it was just funny that they're already just throwing that out there, like, oh yeah, we plan on just making this the next
to
Fast
me,
and Furious.
that's where the problem begins, because you take something new and unique like The Meg, and audiences fall in love with it, even if critics don't. And yeah, a sequel's fine. I don't mind that. If they do a third one, I may not mind. But when we start, like, not everything needs to be 11 films long.
Well,
not
yeah.
everything needs to be a massive
It's gonna be a
franchise.
Sharknado.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
where they're in space and all that stuff.
And,
Well,
it's,
that- and
and
that
they
was
try to get
kind of-
Yeah.
more ridiculous each time, which
Yeah.
I get as part of the charm is the ridiculousness. But after, when you start shooting your characters into space and something somebody made in their garage, I'm just like, okay, we're done. We're done.
Yeah.
It's jump the shark, no doubt.
And
No
you're
pun
right about
intended.
Ninja
It nuked
Turtles.
the fridge.
Ninja Turtles, I think, will pick up because I think with it being a family movie, just like with Lightyear and Strange World and
Haunted Mansion
and
now.
well, some of the other ones, I think a lot of parents who are being
Cautious,
ever watchful about what their kids watch,
Yeah.
especially when you're paying money to go to a theater to be sidblinded or sideswiped by a bunch of woke messaging. We're waiting for reviews before we go see it, and we're waiting for other people who have seen it to come out and say, "Oh no, it was fine. There was nothing overtly in your face in there." And I think that's what people are waiting for. So after weekend 1, I think you're going to start to see that movie pick up because it did not have any of that kind of messaging in it. And I think parents are going to speak to other parents and
Well, and even the Meg, it's like that is part of the fun. Is it's a ridiculous, silly concept, but there's much you can do with it in terms of being abstract and as grandiose as you want to be. I mean, kind of in the same vein as in a little bit more of a serious tone as even the John Wick films, how they took a rogue, assassin and kind of made him into this beast of a machine that is unstoppable because he's just got grit and determination. He keeps going. And yet it's like the same with this film of, okay, you've seen Jaws. That's the serious shark movie. We're going to make a shark movie that's just ridiculous and over the top, but not going Sharknado.
Right.
It's like there's still some levity there, but of course we want to see Jason Statham.
It's there's
know-
actually some wit there. It's
Yeah.
not just stupid. Like there's actually, I mean, even though it is a giant shark movie, they're not just like, well, not like Marvel
Well,
now where it's
and
like, well, we can just do anything because people will come watch it.
Funny because they were talking about how they're still hoping not only is it going to pick up in subsequent weekends coming, but also the fact that the review scores are poor. But I'm like, this kind of goes back to our talking about critics not or being late to the party and jumping on the bandwagon late like they did with Marvel films and not
By
understanding.
the time the Meg 3 comes out, they'll like it because audiences like it.
Exactly.
This movie's brilliant.
It's just a fun popcorn flick. It's like, so were the first 2, but you missed that. It's
Yeah.
like that's what they're made for. And so I mean, I'm looking forward to it. That's the movie we're reviewing next week. Before we hit up, I
I
think
say there's not a lot of competition. I think
No.
until
Gran
Gran
Turismo is at the end
I thought
of the
there
month.
was one more coming out, but even then I didn't think was huge.
Yeah, look at that because
Blue Beetle, never mind.
that's
Oh,
next
yeah.
I
week.
said, everybody's already planning for that one to flop, so we know that's not.
They're
not a
estimating
competition.
$30 million for an opening on that. But again, this is a DC Comics
Yeah.
film, and so
Yeah.
the rude awakening there is again we're in the thick of more comic book movies, and DC is in disarray since James Gunn took over. We thought it was going to clear up. No, a creative clear path has still not been taken. It's still you're on rocky waters.
We still have a big Marvel movie this year, don't we?
The Marvels.
The
It comes out in
yeah.
November.
That's it.
Yeah, November as the Marvels.
Okay.
Yep.
Was there
When is
another one?
Gran Turismo coming out?
The end of this month.
Yeah, end of August.
Can't wait.
Here's
I'm
the
looking
thing.
forward to it.
I've actually seen some early reviews, not an early review, a couple people just throwing out their opinion of it, and maybe one or two that have said that it actually is just like a decent traditional like up and coming sports flick. And
I love the angle they take. I love that they decided to base it on a true story of like the competition that they did revolving around the game.
Yeah.
Like it's a unique way of making a movie based on a game that actually has a story to tell. It's not just generic and they didn't try to go a Fast and the Furious route. It's like it's Gran Turismo,
right?
Yeah,
Well, and they tried doing that with Need for Speed, and it flopped.
Yeah.
So it's like that franchise got killed right away. You've got to differentiate. You've got to mix it up, and I think that's what we're seeing with the success of Barbie and even Oppenheimer, and even with those movies being out and continuing success, we've seen now with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this week and the Meg. They were saying this weekend alone was another hugely successful weekend for the movies in general.
Yeah.
It was like up, I think 98% based on what it was like last year at the same time.
Because when you make something people actually want to see, they'll come watch it.
You just put movies out there that generate.
When you focus on actually entertaining, because all the movies that have come out recently, Barbie aside, because I know the argument with but Barbie aside, all these movies have been just focused on like. He didn't take Oppenheimer and, like I said, try to make this nukes are bad or evil. I mean, the question's in there because it inherently always is. But like he told the story of Oppenheimer, and the same thing with Turtles is a decent. Like I said, I wish there was more to it, but it is a decent telling of Ninja Turtles. And then you look at things like Haunted Mansion, which is bombed, and just from the trailers alone, looking at that movie, it doesn't look like it's anything unique or better than the Eddie Murphy movie, which was terrible.
Which I think is funny that is the one sore spot this entire summer, and a theme that we've seen over and over is the failing of Disney. Elemental has flopped. Indiana Jones 5 has flopped. Haunted Mansion, Little Mermaid just before Elemental. You've seen nothing but flops from Disney, and the fact that Haunted Mansion, the last flop they had of their theme park ride movies, was the original Haunted Mansion. That's it's insane.
And that pisses me off to no end because that's such a that is the one ride other than Pirates I think could make an amazing movie, and it's one of my favorites. And I'm just like, Disney's so stupid.
I don't understand why they didn't go a more horror centric route in a kid friendly way, but make it and not to. I'm just thinking like Under Wraps or Don't Look Under the Bed, the Disney Channel original.
Well, that's what this is supposed to be, is a more kid-friendly horror movie.
I'm just saying, do
Under
something.
Wraps.
Yeah,
I love the original Under Wraps. I love
do
Don't Look Under the Bed.
Like that, but theatrically on a scale, and then release it closer to freaking October.
Yep.
Why you release this in August makes
100%.
no sense.
I don't have kids, but and I get that it's like a family movie, but I'm not gonna go see a movie like this in
the only thing I could think is that they wanted to have it available to stream. Like, okay, it's in theaters, and then after the day,
streaming
we can
for
put
Halloween.
it on Disney Plus for Halloween.
They want a quicker turnaround instead of releasing it in October and then waiting for the next October to.
I guess sometimes that doesn't always pan out because the Meg 2 came out at the end of Shark Week.
Yeah,
and it didn't do that great.
But it came in at number 2.
No, I
agree. Saying. I think the only reason it didn't eclipse was because of you still had Barbie and Oppenheimer. Still out.
It's amazing.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think this also is an indicator of just ballooning budgets and just all the press and marketing in the world. I mean, one of the things they hinted at in the article with Haunted Mansion was that, because of the writer's strike and the SAG strike, you basically didn't have the actors in the movie promoting this film. I'm like,
that don't matter.
Danny DeVito walking the red carpet was not bringing $100 million to the box office. I'm sorry. Like, come on, let's be practical about
I do understand the marketing aspect, but I agree. Most of these movies are the production budget is way too massive now. When we're seeing smaller made films do better, not just because their budget is small, but because they have a smaller budget, they actually have to focus on telling a good story, and people respond to that. I'm sorry, like Ant-Man, I'm trying to think of some of the ones before that. It's like there's not much story there. It's just all CGI jumbled mess now.
It's not good CGI either.
No,
I mean, look at the Flash. The Flash was terrible. They can use the excuse that they did that intentionally. Whatever. That looked like
CGI
garbage.
was bad,
yeah.
It did.
And I'm like, I'd rather
no
see
way.
you. I'd rather see them get a smaller budget, make it work, figure out how to be creative again. That's one thing Nolan talked about. He was talking about there's a reason Star Wars, the original Star Wars, was just a huge hit. And he said it's not just the story; it was the visuals and the spectacle, and that's why he tries to do everything practically with his films, because people respond to there's real physics there. It looks tangible. It's like it is more of a spectacle when you go see a movie and you realize this wasn't just this fake blob on screen. Like,
That's
they
right.
actually did this. And he's not knocking CGI. There is a time you need to use CGI, but when you just rely on it to say, oh, well, we can do whatever we want because we'll just throw the CGI in there, it's no longer a solid story being supported by visual effects. It's just flashing visual effects on a screen to try to entertain. It's like dangling keys in front of a baby. You're just like, look at this, look at it.
Yeah. In this a pretty spectacle.
I'm just saying.
But I do think it's interesting.
It does. Well, it did. It's not working as much as it used to.
It does for a certain time.
Yeah.
Now you hand them
Until-
an iPad.
Well,
Say, "Look
Well,
at
the
this."
cheaper those effects get, like the more that everyone's doing them.
Yeah.
It just you get used to it,
Yeah.
and everyone's waiting for that like new different thing. That's why Barbie was a splash.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer in its own way was a splash. Like, so in a way you have to have a bunch of like Marvel just like, okay, I get it, and then hopefully one day Marvel's gonna drop something completely. Like, hopefully they'll surprise us.
I think they would
'Cause
do
that's what's
best to
gonna
just
stick.
chill out and not do anything for a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying just never make anything
Yep.
again, but I think they need to take a break.
Yep.
But it is interesting because
They won't.
They
No.
won't.
No,
They won't.
They're
They-
full steam ahead for Fantastic Four and the X-Men and whatever comes next. Like, they're working their way to those IPs.
And
Well, they
partly
are
I do
pushing
understand.
things back to take time. It's like, yeah, but you also have a strike that you have to push things back for.
That's the reason. and even then, and I know we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit because not much to talk about. Just the failing.
They couldn't come.
they
I mean, it
couldn't-
was interesting.
But I think with Disney and the Marvel issue, the problem is because they are full steam ahead, and they have worked themselves into a corner. They've rested on their laurels for too long about making small minor adjustments that would lead to payoffs that fans would enjoy, and they could take those risks, to now being too cookie cutter, too widespread appeal, that they're trying to appeal to too many wide audiences, that it's just generic milquetoast. And I don't see it getting any better. They can't truly risk not having things come out, because then people lose interest even more, and they're seeing DC and its competition. So they really do have a huge problem, because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I know you can't stop the machine. It's got to keep going. But how do you innovate in that process to make things that are new and different? Because that's been the false promise that Disney has sold us and that Marvel has sold us, is with the shows like
Secret
Scarlet
Invasion
Witch
that just came out.
and Secret Invasion. Gosh,
It was
terrible.
No, WandaVision I liked.
No,
That was
but I'm
creative.
saying, but with WandaVision, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
with Loki, and even Loki season 2 has come out, but I'm seeing the trailers, and I'm like, every single thing that you have promised as being the next evolution of really needing to pay attention and see how this story evolves has been completely.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a farce.
That's
It's like you
actually-
watch it and it's like, no, there's nothing here. There's no meat at all.
Well, I would say Loki was one that I thought was very significantly pivotal, but then they've ignored it until now again. But yeah, Secret Invasion was billed as they called it a crossover event. They made it sound like this is going to affect all of the MCU moving forward, and then it had nothing
Well,
to
it's
do with
supposed to
any-
have an impact with the Marvels.
I get there's supposed to
And
be
it's like-
some impact, but again, once you watch it, you realize that the impact is going to be the same
Minimal.
as
Yeah.
everything else they've released. It's like, oh, this wasn't this huge event that's going to change the course of the MCU.
But no doubt, I do believe that, yes, the strike has had an effect, or it will continue to have an effect, because of where they're headed. I mean, I don't know how much lower Disney can sink at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones, I think, that have the biggest target on their back because they're such a huge conglomerate, but they also have the
They have the
They
highest
have the-
paid executive,
Right.
And that puts another target, especially with the strikes, because they are like, these executives are taking. And granted, we've argued, why executives deserve to make more, but at the same time, when your company is losing money and you're firing and laying people off, and you're trying to figure out ways to stop hemorrhaging money, but your CEO is still the highest paid CEO in Hollywood, it's like, well, maybe you should start with. If you're losing money, the CEO's not obviously doing his job correctly, so maybe we should start looking at that too.
and they'll of course deflect, and they'll say, well, we we brought Iger back because Chapek
To
just
course correct, yeah.
Right,
Chapek
but
was
even
there,
then-
what, a year? That's all
exactly.
he really had
I'm
was
like,
a
how
year
much
of-
more damage was already in place before Chapek came in?
I'm not saying Chapek didn't make mistakes. I think he did.
of course.
But yeah, they were already on that course before he took over.
Just because he took it from 70 to 80 miles an hour doesn't mean that the car wasn't already headed off a cliff. I mean, that doesn't change the trajectory at all. And Chapek,
he just put his foot on the gas pedal.
That's
was
it.
all, you know.
But I mean, ultimately, you go from the losses that Disney has had, and I think they've been at least the poster child this year of taking the biggest losses, and ultimately why they're probably going to write off a lot of these to not take a huge financial hit, because we're looking at close to $1 billion in losses in the theatrical releases that they've already had. Not to mention, they're not recovering from widespread appeal of people returning to the theme parks, and they don't have this
Their streaming
family-friendly
service
image.
has lost I
4
forget-
million
yeah,
subscribers.
Yeah, so I mean, they're not getting people attracted to that either.
And of course, that on top of, I think you also have the news of the strikes and it continuing. No deal was made this past Friday when there was hope the WGA and the AMPTP, I think I got that right. I might have missed a letter.
Yeah,
You're good. AMPTP.
But it's like they're back and forth. They're squabbling.
Well, they met to agree on meeting. Like literally,
That was
they-
have
they
a meeting
came-
about the meeting.
Yeah,
That's
they came
it.
together to say, okay, let's decide on having a meeting so we can come to terms. And the idea was they were going to each hash out what terms they wanted to discuss at the meeting, and they couldn't agree on that terms. Like the AMTPP was just like, no, we're not. Those are non-negotiable. We're not talking about.
Well,
that.
they said we got to go back and talk to the producers
Yeah.
to make sure this is a good plan moving forward. And then the WGA steps away, and they're like, now they're spreading rumors and talking about.
They wanted a media blackout because apparently the studios are leaking things to try to make the writers look bad. Which I mean is a move. It's like, well, they're just being greedy and like they're all overpaid anyways.
But this is the writers talking. I mean, look, they're both.
They are.
In situations where, of course, you have the rosy picture that the producers are painting. We just want people to get back to work. sure, for kibbles and bits. And it's like, and the writers are, of course, on the side of no. We're not going to do any kind of appearance. We're not going to. The dam is not breaking until we get what it is we're looking for. And they're standing their ground.
I kind of hope they do. I'd like to see Hollywood knock down a peg. I think because again, even if all these studios were to buckle and start hemorrhaging money and not be able to survive an ongoing strike, I don't think that's the end of entertainment, movies, or television. I just think something else will rise in its place, and I'm honestly okay with that at this point. Let them take a hit and have to learn how to recover and make better movies rather than throwing $500 million at a movie that's just garbage.
I was kind of talking to someone at work about this this morning, and I was just like, it's interesting because in the midst of what's going on with the strike, one, I'm happy just because I'm like, there's too much content already I need to catch up on. So I've got plenty that I can still watch without ever caring about what's new coming out. But also, it's maybe an instance where, I mean, we've had the traditional Hollywood system for 100 years now. And you think about the big production studios still kind of running the gambit, all these unions having been unionized over the course of decades for their own purpose, and rightfully so if they're, getting mistreated. But I do think it's interesting that it's like outside of this model, this LA model of the tried and true system, the way it's been forever, why wouldn't you see break off out of this and an instance of going into a more independent route? Whether that's dealing independently with writers, with actors, with other studios that may even be able to finance bigger projects when they all come together. Is it harder? Yeah. Would it have to work through some kinks? Of course it would. It would be a new business model. But if there's anything I see on the horizon, if this continues to go down that road, is maybe you all have gotten so big, so massive, and what you're looking for actually would be remedied by just breaking up the structure that you've already kind of inundated yourself with over the course of these several decades. Why wouldn't you offer up the opportunity to go and wheel and deal with things that are not traditionally the Hollywood way of doing things? Because there's still tons of experience in all of these different facets, whether it's writers, producers, directors, actors. They all have something to add, but again, it's a team and a collaborative effort to make a movie and make one that's good. And yet you can't tell me that these people can't come together on their own terms and agree to
Well, that's
making
what some
new
of them
things.
are doing now is they're working with independent production companies that aren't part of the AMTPP, the SAG, and them have like offered they've given them exemptions, like, oh, they're not a part of that production, like a typical Hollywood production union, so therefore they're not who our beef is with. So yes, you can go work with these independent companies, and I'm hoping out of that we might see more of, like, when they go work with these independent companies, realize we don't have to do things the way all the big companies in Hollywood run things. We can continue to do things like this and produce better content. And I'm hoping this shakeup does lead to a refresh, that we do get something more than just the Marvel and DC crap that we've been getting the last few years. That's just one repeat.
That's what disruption does.
Yeah.
Like, that's what everyone's trying to do, is mix it up and shake up the industry, and that's going to create hopefully some pretty cool content.
Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is what most people are expecting out of this. I mean, yeah, eventually there's going to come to a point where you want something new, but do you want it at the expense of not the people involved, but at the expense of, oh, well, we just need to put more crap on streaming that nobody's watching? Because if we're really arguing about that and trying to uphold an industry that's bloated to begin with, then no, I don't want there to be an agreement. Because then you're just talking about, again, this is the whole minimum wage argument with McDonald's, and when you want to throw in, it's like, you know what McDonald's is starting to do? Oh, they're putting automated freaking machines to take your order and to serve you. It's like, so good job. You worked yourself out of a position that you could have been getting paid for, because maybe you really weren't worth that amount to begin with. And it's the same, I think, with this industry in filmmaking. You have to eventually look at the rude awakening, which is it's gotten a lot more approachable from independent investors and a perspective of building up a crew and learning how to create content. I mean, the whole digital age and the blowing up of YouTube and streaming in general has showcased not only a desire for more content and to be entertained, but also the way in which you can get that content generated and created. And there's a lot of creative people out there who you can tap into now who can create quality stuff with things that are not that hard to come by.
That's part of their argument. One of the things they've been wanting is writer rooms and stuff that AMTP doesn't want to do, as far as paying to have more writers in writers' rooms, because they're part of their argument. And maybe this is true. They're talking about all this, like you're talking about all the garbage content on streaming. They're saying, they have to write these episodes with turnarounds that are ridiculous because they're constantly being moved on to the next thing that has to release on streaming, and they're like, they can't write good content. That's why they want writers' rooms, because it's like, okay, they're basically just churning out crap just to have crap, and they're saying they acknowledge that too. They don't want to just churn out crap because they just need to fill content, and if they do have to just work constantly to churn out crap, they want to get paid more.
Go back to my McDonald's analogy. It's junk food. Don't freaking eat it. It's unhealthy. It's like you don't need to binge yourself on it, and it's like most people are finally like, it's gonna go downhill because I can't live off of this. It's crap. It's unhealthy. I don't want to. And it's the same with these films. Like, why do I want to waste my time on, these experiences that aren't enlightening? I mean, that is the reason we review movies and we'll nitpick things, is not because we just want to be critical for critical sake. It's because there is something to be said when you do go into a theater and you're with people of, the same ilk, because you have the same general taste of wanting to see this movie, and you're awe-inspired and you're emotionally moved because you've seen a piece of art that has transcended beyond the screen. And to me, that was always the appeal of this type of art and this art form, and any kind of art, is to reach a wider mass appeal on a humanistic level and say, okay, how can I connect with my common man, but in such a way that these are experiences we all see, and it moves you in such a way that it makes the medium worthwhile and continuing. And I think it's like, okay, we've been 100 years, maybe this is time for a different take and a new resurgence of how this industry moves forward and how it adapts to changing times and changing technology. So we'll continue to follow it, but right now, the strike continues. Go out and watch something you haven't seen already. There's plenty out there.
There is.
Alrighty, let's move on to our final segment of the night, the Vices segment.
Yeah!
It's working! It's working!
Just every time
I love
after
it
the roll,
so much.
we roll our unique weekly segment open till the end when it's I hate you.
Yeah.
He's gonna get there.
I have a love for those movies that Disney, like the Disney sequels, just can't touch because
No.
even as bad as the prequels are, they're just
I still have a
They're
hankering to watch them every once in a while.
they are. They're better.
Let's
They
talk
have
about
that kitsch element that just it's
Yep.
so bad it's good.
yeah. So our unique weekly segment this week, it's Vices. I thought we'd change it up a little bit. It's a little interesting. I might have maybe hinted at this a couple times.
Yeah,
Edie's over here just loving.
Yeah.
Yep, she's loving our guest.
Yeah.
she's like, hey,
She's all about
you're
it.
different.
You're
not
different.
normally here.
She's like,
I'm a disruptor.
well, she gnawed her side off. It's all wet on this side. I
Ooh.
don't know why.
Goodness gracious.
She's been itching at it. Okay. No, I wanted to talk about let's do a vice
Yeah,
turned into a virtue.
How about the it's working audio clip?
Oh.
is that a virtue though?
No, it's not.
I mean,
I get a kick out of it.
okay. Well, Neil likes it.
It's not virtuous.
I mean,
at
it's like
all.
one of the worst lines in that movie,
Yes,
but it's
it is.
used for so much joy on the show.
It is
really
true.
is.
It's been
So I
been used
agree
for
with that.
good.
I use it at work all the time. Something breaks and someone fixes it.
And you just go, it's
That's the
working.
GIF that gets sent their way.
That's amazing.
That's it.
Every time.
I do use that GIF. For
Wait,
those
wait,
purposes.
whoa. GIF or GIF?
GIF.
It's a GIF.
He's trying to change his
You're trying to
shit
use
on
the
me.
GIF, aren't
I
you?
do GIF.
No GIF.
It's a GIF.
He said no, GIF.
It's a gift. It's a send a GIF.
No.
Nope.
All right,
You can't make fetch happen.
I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna keep pushing for it. There you go. I don't know. I would say this is kind of hard because
So
I don't. Okay, go ahead.
I was saying,
a tough
I
one.
thought about this driving over a little bit
Uh-oh.
because I wasn't sure, and I can't think of I don't have a personal story yet that I can think of, but I was thinking in ways certain vices. Part of it has got me thinking because of the guy that was just looked like he was passed out at the stop sign that we both stopped to check on, and he's just like, this dude was at the end of the road.
oh damn! I
And I
did
thought-
not hear this story.
Well, I thought maybe they had somebody hit them because they had kind of stopped because you had to go around him to turn left.
Oh, crap.
And I tried to call Neil, but he didn't answer. So then when I pull up to the guy, I see him leaning against the steering wheel with his head against it, thinking he's passed out. But I saw you all had already moved on, which I thought would have been odd. I was like, surely they would have stopped to check on the guy. So I stop, and yeah, they did, but
Yeah.
they did.
We
He's
did.
fine, and the guy behind me stopped and checked on him too. No clue what the dude was doing, like half in the road at the stop sign with his head. But I was just thinking, obviously you all stopped to check on him. I stopped to check on him, which is a good thing because of the empathy there to make sure he's okay. So I was like thinking along those lines. Is like, when can something turn into? Because pride is considered a sin, and pride can be bad, but pride can also make you fight for things that you believe in. And I'm just like, in that sense, pride can become a virtue in the sense that my pride won't allow me to just, oh, I'm just going to screw that guy. I'm just going to keep going. It's it's whether good or ill, it's a proud thing to help someone sometimes too. You feel proud of yourself for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's not the right reason to do it, but in the end, you still did it. And that is a virtuous thing to,
Like,
I
I mean, even along those lines, it's making me think of the people who are just really damn nosy.
Yeah.
But then their nosy nature ends up saving
someone?
somebody's
Yeah.
life or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I would only say it ventures into the vice or the sinful category once it becomes more about yourself.
Selfishness, yeah.
And selfishness. Yeah, and I would say, because I think, especially on bigger picture issues, I think it is good to be prideful about carrying on a legacy or doing, fighting for,
It doesn't necessarily have to be pride either. That was just the
Right.
one example
No,
I could think of. Yeah.
well, especially in this day and age where pride is used for certain things,
Yeah.
I do think it's good to pinpoint when it can become a vice versus a virtue, and it being definitely it is the deadliest of the 7 deadly sins. Pride is pride goeth before the fall.
Fall, yeah.
But also in a so I didn't, I guess, take the serious route. I was thinking more so along the
Well, I couldn't think of a personal example, so
yeah,
I had
that's
to go,
what I'm struggling.
Yeah.
well, and mine is it's nothing fancy, but I was thinking, it could be a vice to indulge in certain enjoyable habits like smoking a cigar.
Okay.
And
Wasn't sure where you were going with that at first, but
well, I
keep private matters private.
Personal habits.
I don't want to get too detailed. No, but in smoking a cigar, it's like I smoke like one a week maybe, and I'm like, that's not. To me, it's like when I enjoy it amongst friends and when we're in conversation and
So you're using
camaraderie.
it for a social moment.
Right. Well,
which is
no.
virtuous.
It's I enjoy it for the enjoyment of smoking it and the flavor.
Yeah.
But it's not just like I need this every day.
Yeah.
And it becomes also a conversational, like we can get around, enjoy company and talk and converse and enjoy a nice cigar at the same time. It's like it's something that could easily turn into a vice, and you could abuse it. But I think for the most part, I think we use it typically as a virtue. And getting together.
So that's like every vice can be, depending on how it's used,
virtuous.
Yeah.
or the like
So
the
that
need
private vice
behind
can
it.
be virtuous. Gotcha. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
But no, I think like
Sure.
kind of like what we were talking about before. Like, I can be pretty stubborn about like Megan says she likes this, and I hope she still does. Like sometimes I'll be like, no, I said I was gonna do this, so I'm gonna do it.
Oh yeah, no, that's.
Or
yeah,
I'll
good
say like,
example.
no, you're tired. I'll do the dishes. Don't like just. And she'll be like, no, but you've been doing it. No, I'm gonna I just get stubborn about it sometimes.
Yep.
So I mean, sometimes that can be a really good thing.
That is
Yeah,
a-
but
But
that's
when
right.
it's like,
That's a good
no, I
example,
said I was
yeah.
going to spend $5,000 on this thing. I'm going to do it. That's when it maybe isn't a bad thing, right?
That's Brandon's.
Yeah.
So
I
just
I'm
like,
gonna get a new computer.
It's needed. It's needed. Okay?
I mean, within like a certain, certain bounds,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Any
Yeah.
vice can have its virtuous moments,
Yeah.
and it can also just have its viceful.
I was
moments.
gonna say some
That's
of
a
the
good one,
some
yeah.
of the coolest people I've ever met is online looking at porn, and I mean, it's like I know it's a vice, and I'm doing that, and I know I shouldn't be doing it, but I meet a lot of really
But
nice
when
people.
you have a community,
it's like
behind
a
it,
social thing.
I
that
just
comment-
get really great advice from them.
The
and-
comment section is full of just wise people.
Yeah.
those
I mean,
subreddits, man.
Yeah.
they
you
just
know, you
really-
never really thought that.
it's like I like that
Obviously,
style.
I'm joking. I don't
Yeah,
look at those things.
Obviously, obviously.
I've never seen any boobies except my wife's.
I did. Yeah, it's like you just jump in the comment section and it's like, wow, great work. Love what
Yeah.
you did there.
It's like
Great
it's like everyone in the comment section is just so supportive.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just they rally behind
It's
this
like,
one
wow,
person.
She
You find
really,
your
she
community.
really moans with. I mean, the acting is great.
Gusto.
Yes.
Did you use
Best
a Zoom
performance.
recorder? to-
I mean,
Yeah.
or you get marriage advice from Mia Khalifa, and it's just like it's so much wisdom.
Such
Mia
wisdom.
Khalifa?
She's
star
a
actor.
porn
New
star.
on me.
Yeah,
She was a ex porn star actor that's now like a online celebrity. Like she has like.
So she got out of the biz.
Yeah, she got out of
yeah.
the biz.
she got her following. and
she got her
but
life
now, like,
straight.
she has like she's just like an online personality, like a typical TikToker, and people actually like listen to her like she's actually wise.
Well, if
'cause
she's
she
not
used
in
to
the
take it
biz
in the
anymore,
butt.
then that's why I don't know who she is.
well, the thing is she came out twice divorced, and she was like, "I'm the Tom Brady of marriage."
Yeah.
It's like I don't think you know how this analogy works because Tom Brady won games.
Well,
he didn't lose them.
She also said marriage isn't sanctimonious, which isn't even how you use that term.
I don't know who this person
She was
is,
talking
but now
about
I'm
the, she was
interested.
trying to talk about the sanctity of marriage, but she
Sure.
said, "Well, marriage isn't
Sanctimonious.
sanctimonious." I was like,
Ron
"That's
to
not how you. That's not how you use that term."
So yeah, if you get a chance, look it up.
All
It was
right, yeah.
it was on Twitter this past week.
Safe search on.
Make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You can type
Make sure I type in her
Khalifa, you
name,
might get someone
retired.
else, yeah.
It got so blown up. I guarantee you, if you type it in, it'll probably be the first thing that comes up besides all her own
Okay.
porn
it did.
videos.
All right.
But no, it is interesting because kind of like you were bringing up about a vice being a virtue. I think that is what virtues can turn into when they become gluttonous or over, you completely focus on them. I mean, that is the definition of it being a vice. So in essence, it was kind of a vice. I was thinking in terms of a vice for yourself that
Yeah.
has turned into a virtue, something that is not.
I worry a lot, and because of that worry, though, it makes me think different things, like scenarios through in my head. So I always feel like when something does happen, there's a part of me that's prepared for it because I've already been worrying and thinking about it and thinking about what I'm going to say or how I'm going to handle that. So even though I might lay awake at night for hours worrying about something, it's I guess the flip side of it is that I tend to be prepared for it when it comes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's along those lines or
Short
not.
on sleep, but prepared.
That's right.
Well, I was gonna say, I think a good way to put it would be that it's if you can channel it to where you're not worried about it, but you're thinking critically about how you can approach it and solve the issue, as opposed to letting it come amongst you or
Then
upon you.
it wouldn't be a vice anymore.
Right.
Though.
It would be a
It would
virtue.
just be a virtue.
But is that something that recently, it was a vice that you've struggled with that has become a virtue?
No, it's like every time it's a vice, and then it turns into a virtue because I'm ready for it.
well,
When
then
it
it's
gets
still
there.
a vice.
I know.
So
That's what I'm saying.
that's not.
I'm working on it, Brandon. God.
But any vice can become a virtue, and any
Yeah.
virtue can become a vice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Right?
I wouldn't say any.
I mean, it depends on the motivation, the intent behind
Yeah.
it. Like,
Right, and there's certain vices that I think are just straight up just vices. Like they're not. There's nothing virtuous
that's
about
fair.
it.
Yeah. Like murdering people, serial killers. That's a weird vice. That's not a virtue.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if they would call that a vice.
It's just straight up just.
I mean, no,
bad.
that would be
It's
a
like,
vice.
man,
If
yeah.
they-
evil.
It's anything immoral or wicked by the Oxford Dictionary. So, I mean, if they're having enjoyment out of murdering people en masse, I guess that's their vice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
but I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean,
I know
wouldn't-
you wouldn't, but I'm just saying by Oxford's definition, it kind of fits.
Well, I go by Webster.
Yeah, well,
What do they
That's
say?
your vice.
I don't know. I don't know.
But no, I'm trying to think of something a little bit more bigger picture. Cause
Yeah.
This year, I mean,
Murder seems pretty big picture to
That
me.
is a big one.
that's a big one. But I don't think of most murderers as, it's like, man, he struggles with that vice.
Yeah.
And obviously, he did, or he wouldn't have been gone around on a
Struggle
killing
with
spree.
killing people.
Maybe he was just pissed
Dexter.
off in the one moment, and he just that would have been
Dexter,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
He struggles with
He knew how to channel it.
that
but
was
it
his
like,
vice.
Yeah, that moral quandary. But I would say health is always kind of a tipsy turvy, up and down roller coaster with me, just ever since college, and it's been like that vice of overeating and trying to be more virtuous about not again making it so self-centered as to I want to get a six-pack and I want to really look great and everything. It's more so I want to be around for my family and my future wife and kids whenever that happens. And I will say, like, a vice aspect of when I am being gluttonous and indulging and overeating, it's like I know there's a part of me that then self-consciously allows that to affect me, and that's not a good thing. That's a problem, because then I'm allowing that behavior to dictate how I react and act around other people, which is not virtuous.
Yeah.
And some people have better self-control over that, and that's become a struggle that I think I've not excelled at improving on this year, but it's a working improvement, and I'm working on it becoming more virtuous, so that it's not such a focal point that it consumes me, but also that I'm not so lost in like, oh, I'm just gonna continue this unhealthy eating behavior and just kind of ignore any of the health risks or how it makes me feel, because I'm again chasing an instance of happiness in the moment that isn't real happiness. It's just it's
a Big Mac.
yeah, it's right. And a McFlurry.
Oh,
Oh man, that's so good.
God. Well, Brandon, I just want you to know,
Oh, yeah.
if you ever do get fat and ugly, there's a Ninja Turtle out there that'll love you.
There he is.
I'm hoping. That's what I can bet on.
It's working! It's working!
That's the motivation I
I
need.
got three. I got three in this time. So
Jeez.
Over.
It's a vice.
It's becoming a vice. You need to stop.
Yeah, that was a virtue a minute ago
Yeah.
when it was funny, but
Yep.
now it's a
See?
vice again.
See?
Just like
It's
Neil
all
said.
spectrum.
That's 3 for 3 on both. Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And once again, thank you, Neil, for joining us from Boston.
Anytime.
Flew in just for this
Hey,
occasion.
he won an award the other day for being the
a major award?
being the farthest
A major.
person to come to the Beast Feast. Nobody was from further away than him, and I think he.
It's a
I
room
think
of
he-
like 500 people, and he
takes
was
it
like,
up.
"Who came from more than 200 miles away?" My dad was like pointing at me. I was like, "I got it. I know how to raise my hand." And
Yeah,
then I
there was a
I
dude
had to
from
yell.
Michigan.
what if you didn't want to
but he
participate?
didn't. He didn't beat Boston.
Oh, man.
Well, wait. Did Did you win something for this?
No.
What?
They congratulated him.
That was it?
That's
Yeah.
it.
You
I
didn't
got-
get free barbecue or
I
something?
got like street
We
cred
all
for
got
it.
free. Well, no, it wasn't free.
It's $15.
It was
barbecue.
$15
It
barbecue.
was good.
They could have given you $15 back and said, "Hey, free
Yeah.
admission."
But
Here you
hey,
go.
he's the farthest away on the show too. So
That's true.
It's true. Yeah.
They- now that deserves a standing
up
ovation.
again. Yeah.
Come on,
Sit
guys.
down.
I
Sit
act
down.
like I'm going to, and then I don't.
I'm not going to
I was
stand.
gonna say, it's kicking us off here. We're not done yet. We're not.
Whoa.
You stay
Oh,
seated.
man.
It's
You
not
stay
working.
seated.
It's not working.
I stood up and
I
it
don't
just
have
went.
a button for that one.
Nope. You don't.
Game
have it.
over, man.
There we go.
That's what it was. No, we are glad to have you. Obviously, you're in town to visit family, and we're gonna have some fun this weekend. Have a little
Yes, we are.
getaway. It'll be a good
With
time.
our private vices.
Private vices.
Indulging in some vices. out
Singing
there
some
on the-
country songs. is
I
what we're
don't
gonna
think this is my first year going back to the lake. I've never gone twice in a year.
do. Sometimes they
Just
just
saying.
come back.
And maybe you won't return.
Sometimes it's considered a compliment. Fatty's Fork 2. Yeah, come on, Tropic Thunder.
Okay, but I
It
mean,
didn't fit the combo at all.
I was like,
Totally
out of
didn't.
context, I had no idea what you were talking about.
I just every time someone like starts off with, well, sometimes I'm like, I immediately go to that line. I don't know why.
I do love the movie, but I didn't know what you were going for at first. Private Justice.
Private Justice? You want to know about Private Justice? Why don't you go out to Harmony Hill and dig up what's left of my boy Brady and talk to him about Private Justice? Would you want to do that?
The end is my favorite. I had to do it in the
I had to
middle
do
because I
it.
couldn't do it over the
Yeah.
end.
I
But
know-
would you want to do that is my favorite part.
That's
He
it.
nails it every
Yeah.
time too.
Well, it's like Keith in our email.
Yeah.
Right there at the bottom of your screen, you can see all of our social media. Like, share, subscribe. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet. We're probably going to change that to Red Moon X at some point.
Yeah.
Red Moon Pics on Instagram, and of course, search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube and
too.
Rumble as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, there is that old-fashioned way of reaching out to us. Keith, you do it the best.
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
He had to call.
.com will never be the same.
That's it.
that last sip of beer got me.
It choked him up. Just the way you perform
I
it.
did not want to interrupt the email, so
He
I
was
held
trying
it
to
in.
hold
He's
on.
trying, but he couldn't. He just.
Couldn't hold it any longer.
It's like Josh in the he hurt himself. Praise Jesus.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And... okay, a real name, please.
Hop, drop, and roll, baby.
That's it.
Bye, Megan.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.